Tools of the trade for waxing and tinting. So we're going to start off with our brow pencil. Our brow pencil is really important because this is what we use to mark our measurements on people's heads, but we can also use it to pencil the eyebrow in first of all at the consultation to show them the actual shape and style that you can do and see if they do like it. Sometimes people will bring you in a photo of eyebrows that they'd like, and then once you draw them on they don't actually like them, so it's a really important tool, that one. Then we have our calipers. So our calipers are the measuring tool that we use at Enchanted Spa to measure the eyebrows. So we go across here, 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 and then check across this way from side to side. Then we have our kidney dish. Our kidney dish is what we use when we rinse the lashes. So we place it on the side of the client's head and we pour the water through to wash all that tint away from the lash line. You can also use it to put little bits of equipment in to keep it nice and tidy. So then we have our mascara brush. So our mascara brushes are used to brush the lashes, but also to brush through the brows and help to create the effect that we want and to get the hairs nice and neat while we're waxing them. Then we have our cleansing applicators. So our cleansing applicators are used to clean the lashes at the beginning of the surface and to clean the brows, but also because of the shape of them, it helps to really get the definition when we're putting the Balmer Shield around the eyes, which is going to protect the skin. So these are really good and so much better than the cotton pad because of the shape. It also helps to put the Balmer Shield around the lashes as well so that we don't get any staining on the skin. So this is the Balmer Shield. Balmer Shield is like Vaseline but without the petroleum, and it's really soft and natural, and you can use it as a lip balm. Then we have our paper shields that we use while we're tinting the lashes. Some people will use cotton rounds and wet them and put them under, but I'll talk that through when we do the treatment. Then we have our scissors. We can use our scissors to actually trim the brows because sometimes they will get really long and unruly, and we need to trim them to tidy them up. Then we have our tweezers. So different types of tweezers. You can get the short blunt ones. My favourite are the Enchanted E10 tweezers. These are so good for so many things. For plucking brow hair, they are fantastic, but I also use them when I'm doing my brow extensions. Because it's a bit longer, you get a bit more control, especially if you've been doing lash extensions before. If you're a lash artist, using these little short ones, they can feel quite stumpy in your hand, so it's nicer to use a longer tool. The brow extensions themselves are what we use to create hair where there isn't hair. So you can use them on people if they've got a scar or a bald patch, or if they've overplucked when they were younger and we're trying to bring the brows in, but there isn't any hair there to actually do it. So we can put some temporary hair on. The way that we make that stick is with the Brow Bond. So the Brow Bond is a special adhesive which is hair to skin adhesive, and you can come into contact with the skin. Then we have our thread. So the thread is proper eyebrow thread. It's antibacterial and we use it for threading the brows. Then we have our mixing dish. So you've got a 2-in-1 mixing dish and the applicator brush. Don't be scared if you feel like you've broken the brush, because it actually comes apart so that you've got a lid to protect it. Again, it's nicer to use a longer tool. When you're mixing your colours up, and you're going to have tint on the end of this, so that you don't get it everywhere, it's got that nice little nook there just to look after your brush for you. So we've got two. We can have one for the lash tint and one for the brow tint. Then this clever little contraption is my favourite thing in the whole world. This is an eye guard, and this is what we use for the lash tinting. Now, years ago when we done lash tinting, all the tint would try and stick, especially if you did use the cotton wool. The tint would stick and it would be really messy. But now that we use these, oh, it's so much easier. We have our micro brushes. So we use these if we need to remove a little bit of tint off the skin, because it will be nice and small enough to get in without displacing any of the other product. And also you can use it to sharpen and define the line around the brow if you need to. So then we have the tint itself. We've got, any of the tints are lash and brow tints, so you can use them on the lashes and the brows. These two I've got here are black and light brown. And then we've got the bleaching cream. So I'm going to go through and tell you how to do bleaching as well. Then we have the oxidant. So this is a 3% oxidant, and this is what you mix with the tint or the bleaching cream, and it's what activates it. Then we have our little enchanted mirror. So this is so that the clients can see their brows when you finish your service. Then for the waxing, a nice cute little wax pot. If you are just doing eyebrow waxing, you don't need a massive pot. It's nice to just use a small 50 or 100 ml wax pot so that you can change your wax quite often. When you're dispensing your wax into your heater, if it is a hot wax, we prefer the beads, but sometimes you can get it in a hard block. And you just place it into the wax heater, turn it on, and it will melt it down into the creamy liquid. If you do use the block, it's advisable to keep it in the freezer, because then you can actually smash it and break it into little pieces. If you don't, it's really hard to actually break a little piece off to put in the wax pot. That's why we really do like the beads, and we really like the Adam and Eve Jack's Wax ones. When you're filling up your wax pot with your strip wax, what you do is you take the lid off, place it into the microwave for a minute, and then you take the tub to the wax heater, and using a spatula you scoop it all around and make sure that it all goes in, and then you tidy the excess off with the spatula to make sure that it doesn't run everywhere, because if you get wax in anything, it's really hard to get it out again. If you get it on carpet, you've got no chance of getting it out. So when you get it in a bigger tub, this is a sample size. When you get a bigger tub, you're just going to dispense that little bit into the wax pot at a time. And it doesn't matter, you can reheat it as many times as you need to. Some wax pots, you can actually put the whole pot inside the wax heater, because then you can take it out and change to different waxes with the one heater. Because you're going to be using a small bit of wax with the eyebrows, I think it's fine just to dispense it into it. But have a look, do some research and see what wax you'd like to use. Like I say, we really like the Jack's Wax Australia. Then we have our before wax pre-wax oil and our after wax lotion. If somebody is very sensitive, I wouldn't put anything on afterwards, and you can just leave it. But this one can be used for before and after. I just find that this one's a little bit more soothing. This one also gets the skin ready for the waxing, and this one cools it down after. And the best way to clean your wax heater is when it's actually still warm. Not when it's too hot, but when you've turned it off and it's cooled down a little bit. Get some of the pre and after wax oil or wax remover, put it onto some cotton rounds and wipe it over across the heater, and it will take all of that wax off because it's still going to be warm. If you wait until the wax has gone cold and it's set back again, it's going to be too hard to get it off. You need to clean your wax pot at the end of every day, if not the end of every service if you can. So if you get the wax anywhere, you can remove it with this. Then we have spatulas, so different size spatulas for doing the eyebrow waxing. I think it's good to learn with these thicker ones, because if you can get a good definition with these, you're going to get an amazing definition with these. So while you're practicing, try these ones first. Then we have the wax strips. So the wax strips come in packs and they're quite big, and you just cut them into smaller parts. So as you're using these smaller strips around the eyebrow, you want it so that you've got just enough to put over the wax and take it off again. If you tried waxing the whole brow with this, it would just be way too much. So you get your pack and then you cut it to the size that you're actually going to need. Then we have the actual wax. So we like to show how to use strip wax and hot wax. This is a pot of strip wax. This is a bag of hot wax. Always need Caltrol with anything, any services that you're doing really, for the health and safety side of things, but definitely for the wax so that you're not going to be dripping wax over any of your bedding. And then we have the headband. If you put a headband on your client, you're not going to accidentally drop any tin or wax into the hair. It's a protection for them. A little glass tapping dish so you can dispense the lash and brow cleanser into here before you put it onto the client. And then of course we have our gloves because we're doing skin penetration. It is better to wear nitrile gloves because a lot of people can be allergic to latex.